DNCE are a funky, poppy sort of band, fronted by none other than Joe Jonas. Ah yes, I remember back in the day, and back in primary school, all the kids used to gush about the Jonas Brothers. Information relevant to this review? Not really. DNCE have a rather carefree and just fun-loving attitude when it comes to their music, especially lyric-wise. On huge singles like Toothbrush and Cake by the Ocean, the band don't really worry about writing lyrics that make total sense at times. Sometimes that's the point. You don't understand what it means, but it's just so catchy and it's so infectious that you just don't really mind. It seems that the focus is simply on having fun, and I'm fine with that. I can accept that because I like a fun album every now and then. It was just a few days ago that I reviewed the Kero Kero Bonito album, Bonito Generation, and I said that was so fun. And the lyrics on that album were very absurd and random, probably even more so than what's on this DNCE album. So surely if DNCE want to bathe in the funky feel-good summer air of a beach trip or something, then this album should be relatively enjoyable, shouldn't it? Yeah, not quite. Because one, all I've said so far applies to just the lyrics, meaning any potential problems are elsewhere on the album. And two, this album seems to want to have 1 foot in the fun summer jams and 1 foot in the acoustic heartfelt ballad territory. And somehow this album also grows 1 extra foot and plants it straight into the field of EDM. No joke, there's like an EDM inspired track on this album and it's called Naked, and it's so unbelievably corny and vapid, especially uninteresting as an EDM inspired track. It probably took a page from the latest Tove Lo record. Cake by the Ocean is the best song on the album, but the thing is that song was released last year already, and the song seemed to see a lot of success. Nice tongue twister there. So it's like the band thought they could just replicate the sound of Cake by the Ocean and just copy paste it onto like a lot of the other tracks on this album as well. And like a lot of the tracks here become the same funky, poppy, rocky, summery vibe based track. And it gets so old, so annoying, and so cheesy very quickly. The hand claps and the generic bass lines become tiresome, and therefore because over the course of the album the fuel tank of fun starts to run out, it really starts to bring attention to how really annoyingly vapid those lyrics can be. Pay my rent, give me your toothbrush. And the thing is, this album probably knew it was sticking to that formula too much, but instead of changing the formula a little bit to keep things interesting, the album changes things completely and tries to slide in some random acoustic ballads in there as well, just to fulfill the minimum of at least 1 generic acoustic ballad on a pop album. But here's the kicker, they then decided, screw it, we'll do a few more. These cheesy, unfulfilling throwbacks to 60s funk and dance music with a rocky and poppy twist are forgettable despite how catchy they tried to sound. You'd think they'd at least stick, some of them do. But the sound becomes so generic on this record that you start to groan when the next swanky bass line wibbles in. The saving grace is that perhaps on their own, some tracks might be tolerable enough because they're upbeat and catchy, but as a whole, this album gets really tiresome, and with those acoustic cuts, inconsistent too. It's weird because this DNCE album suffers from sticking to a sound too much, and also suffers from changing the sound too drastically too often. It managed to hit both those extremes at the same time. It's quite something. This album, it would get a 4 out of 10 from me. Yeah.